oneself, and honor the ancestors, and honor the collective. I don't know who it is, and I don't know what you're going through, and who could be one, two, many or a few, but it's some heavy, very heavy energy in the collective. Some heavy energy in the collective. So, if you who I'm talking to, please take a moment to give yourself permission to release all the pressure that you have placed on yourself. Because once we dealing with things right here, it ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. Give yourself permission to release all the pressure that you done placed upon yourself. I don't know who that's to or who that's for, but when you hear it, you definitely will know. Get light. And those who are already light, I'm sure y'all know what y'all gotta do to stay light. That's why we here. Stillness and abundance, love and light, health and wholeness. Stillness and abundance, love and light, health and wholeness. Stillness and abundance, love and light, health and wholeness. Peace and power to the cosmic consciousness, family, and soul tribe. Get that energy off me. I've been feeling something all day, and I know I ain't going through nothing at all. You hear me? Everything is good on my end. But somebody not. Somebody not. It ain't always something else. It ain't always somewhere else. And it's definitely not always somebody else. What about you? Because for most of us who have answered those questions, we get an opportunity to see all those who haven't. So what about you? It's just you. And that's where you're going to have to start. Just like we started, you're going to have to start with you. Practice gratitude on a daily basis and throughout the day as much as possible. I say that because gratitude is magical. And to grow a good garden, metaphorically speaking, each and every one of us is a garden. And depending on what we planting within ourselves through our own thoughts and what we're allowing to be planted within us through the thoughts of others, it's determining the things that's growing in the garden. But to grow a good garden, you have to tend to it daily. So we're going to have to be aware of what type of mental seeds what type of mental conversations we're having with ourselves, as well as the verbal conversations that we're having with others. And if we pay attention to the conversations that we're having with others, then we'll get a glimpse of what's going on behind the scene. If you ain't got no bias, if you don't have any bias, you will have very few blocks. Now, what that mean to you may not mean the same to someone else. But if you don't have any bias, you will have very few blocks. And the reason that I say that is because how many of us ever heard or was ever told, when it's time for you to know, you will know? Because I was reflecting on some times that I was told, when it's time for you to know, you will know, when I was seeking answers to certain things. But how many of us have ever heard that? And if you have ever heard that, you probably immediately were directed to or directed to make you think about how you felt in the moment that you heard that. Especially during the times that you may have needed some answers about some things that you may have felt was important and or urgent to you. Anybody remember how they may have felt during the time they heard? When it's time, you will know. When it's your time, you will know. Well, I think it's that time now. And I hope many of us have come into the things that when we didn't know and wish we did, we know now. I ain't like it either. Long story long, I ain't like it either. But I can respect it now. And the reason that I can respect it now is due to the fact that I comprehend the experiences that needed to take place according to many, if not most, of the answers that I was looking for. And probably you probably find yourself resonating with that same thing. The reason being is because it's not your own until you experience it. So, and what that means is I could share something with you. And if you haven't had a direct and personal experience according to what I have shared with you, it's not your own experience. It's not your own knowledge of the experience. It's not your own wisdom. You can glean wisdom from what's shared, but it's not your own wisdom from having the experience. So it's a difference. But I ain't like it either. Which is why I say it ain't always something else. It ain't always somewhere else. And it ain't always somebody else. What about you? Sometimes it's just you. That was a very enlightening realization for me when I accepted it, when I began to adapt to it, and when I allow it to make adjustments within me. It was very enlightening. It was very maturing to the point that it had me recalling people that I grew up with. And when we're growing up with people, and when people are growing up with us, even though we're growing up together, we all growing through different phases as we're growing up together. And a lot of times, we're not aware of the growth or the phases of change that will eventually birth into growth that's taking place not only in ourselves, but with those that we're growing up with, that we're being raised up amongst. But through that process, as people shift out of our lives and people come into our lives, and people come into our lives and people shift out of our lives, we begin to realize that those phases, they have their purpose, they have their place, and how they play out in our lives. And I say that because I didn't always understand what I was viewing in my out picture. And today, I find myself going through that same thing about people and how I'm viewed. And that's eye-opening. Because I remember when I didn't comprehend. So it's a reverse lesson to see how people won't always comprehend your phases, your changes. And sometimes they're not supposed to, especially when they're not making them. How can we understand something that and that's what I was saying, how can we fully understand something that we're not fully embraced in ourselves? It gives you partial vision. We have to recognize it as a sign or indication that externally no change has been made, other than the change that you have made in yourself. And if you have made changes in yourself and realizing that external changes are not happening in others, why are you expecting it to? It was a layered process to get you there. I don't know who need to hear that. I'm gonna say it again. It was a layer, cause we shed in layers, and we heal in layers, and we're made up in layers. It was a layered process to get you there, not for you to worry about who's gonna get there with you. You hear me? And by that token, angels not always liked, as we was taught to believe. And it ain't always the case, but a lot of us know that the haters be close. And it's eye-opening when people that love us the most are the people that don't even know us. Reflect on that. Stillness and abundance, love and light, health and wholeness. Thanks for the like, share, new subscribers, comments, questions. Rocking with me because you rock with me. Share, subscribe, share again, subscribe again. You hear me? Unsubscribe, unlike, but do something. Make yourself accounted for. I am Saiwoo, and I'm not for everybody. But if I'm for you, you know it. Peace, family.